Итак, начинаем играть Stories. Путь судьбы. Так, вперед. Настройки. М? Давным-давно печально известный пират Рейнардо грабил парящие острова. Потом мать призвала его к смертному одру. «Поклянись, что не закончишь свои дни на виселице», — прохрипела она. Он поклялся очень нехотя и проводил жизнь дома за музыкой, картами и вином.
A shy, almost humble toad. He built universities. Then people started whispering about mass graves in the woods, midnight rituals, victims screaming. The Imperial Ravens would round up entire villages, and no one ever returned. The Ravens had come to Ubar scouting for ancient books said to be of great power. But the librarians had hidden the books. So they'd burnt the librarians. The citizens, outraged, had driven them off. The Ravens had come back with dropships. The kid had fled with one of those books. He was brave and dumb and wanted to join the rebellion. And Renato had promised his mother he'd protect him.
Прикольно. Так. Попробуем с джойстика управлять. Посмотрим, как будет удобнее.
The kid was looking down, watching his city burn. Sorry, kid, Renato told the kid. Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone. My mother died for this book! I promised her I'd protect you. Oh, damn it. The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Renato had to run after him. The two ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner, which probably was what was in their tiny brains. Hey, Renato said. They cocked their heads at him. Pick on someone as ugly as you. Wait, that didn't come out right. For the Emperor! The ravens cawed and rushed at him.
Так, L для контратаки. прикольно такая, чё, быстренько сейчас.
A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed him. The kid.
Зажать, чтобы схватить. Прицелиться, отпустить, чтобы бросить. Угу.
Oh, right. The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through? Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels, or I'm gonna steal your ship. I'm not taking that damn book anywhere, and neither are you. Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero's sword. And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid. He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Renata going to get a hero sword? Ore and wind essence? That sounds about right. I'll need a workshop, though. Perfect. A hero sword. QED.
Выглядит круто. Также позволяет лечить себя. Нужно найти 30 руды. Ага. Прикольно.
This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook, and she'd laughed at Renato's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was. Just the kid. He came up to a ledge. It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter, giggling at him. How'd you get across? He asked the kid. Where'd you find a hook? I hopped, said the kid. Wise-ass kid. Hey, look out behind you. Cute, said Renato. Ah, ravens. It was time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated at that altar there, he'd remember his old skills.
Прикольно. Так, помедитировать. Умение. При каждом повышении уровня очередной. Угу. Так, уровни умений.
starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember. And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kestra run in 12 furlongs. Oh, so the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush. "Stop!" he shouted. "I'm not giving you the book!" shouted the kid, and took off. "No! Peter!" But the kid ran for it, and a goggler nailed him with its ivy. The book was unburned. Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes, and a kid-sized pile of ashes. Damn it, why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but
О,
alive.
кролика убили.
Oh, damn it. Renato picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway. What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him. "Where are you running, rebel?" cawed the Raven captain over the loud hailer. Renato could see them cranking up their catapults. "Just going out for milk?" Renato yelled back. "Where can you run?" laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind it, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job. "Take us to the rebel base! I will spare your life!" it called. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven, a sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time. Unless Renato could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Renato had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino had sent Renato a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Renato could only rescue him. Renato dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, the Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lapino or the Sky Ripper.
Нельзя завести новых старых друзей. У Восстания не было больше времени, народ нуждался в ком-то, кто все изменит. Даже если Лапин не считался как таковым, он мог подойти с его безопасной затеей. Может, его спасение этого стоило. Создать неборез. У Восстания не было больше времени, народ нуждался в ком-то, кто все изменит. Древний артефакт, победивший от забытых богов, подошел бы на эту роль. Он был разделен на 2 части много лет назад. Ренардо мог воссоздать его, найдя его каркас. Давайте...
Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse.
Ну, разветвление, так что получится, придется несколько раз проходить. То все главы. Ох, сколько ж тут прохождений нас ждет. Очень много.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? Renado's blood was up. He just needed to smash something.
Угу. Но у меня самоцветов нету. Так, руда 6. Там 30 надо было.
No skateboarding, the sign said. The Ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Renato hoped the people were just hiding. Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough.
Так, меч. Угу.
Come over here.
Блин. Не так просто.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Where had the mad rabbit got to?
Так, набираем руду.
Renata felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that.
Так, истина раскрыта. 3 истины.
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember.
Подожди, как? Л и А. А, прикольно.
Can't we just agree to disagree? Said Renato. No? It was all coming back to him. He wondered what he'd remember next.
Так, истина открыта. Безупречный удар. Атакует стражи после удачной атаки, чтобы массив бонус крона и двойной бонус комбо. Защитный... Контратака наносит урон. Либо показатель. Увеличить свое здоровье. Бегите быстрее.
He found a Superman issue #1 in mint condition in a jar he'd broken. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The Ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Easy
Capture
peasy.
the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter. That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Нанести визит Зенобии. Рейнардо и Лапина были вместе, но Рейнардо все еще нуждался в ком-то, кто все изменит, чтобы спасти восстание. Может, Лапина был прав, может, им стоило похитить Зенобию, единственную дочь императора, и величайшую из его генералов. Извлечение из нее сведений могло переломить ситуацию в гражданской войне. Либо глаз забытого бога наверняка обладает огромной силой. Ренардо и Лапина были вместе, но Ренардо все еще нуждался в ком-то, кто все изменит, чтобы спасти восстание. Нет, давай вот по этому пути.
Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato's best friend in sword fu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. They'd been close. She'd told him things no one else knew. But she'd never told him who she really was. She knows all the Emperor's plans, chuckled the master spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right, said Lapino. Taking her would change the game, all right.
Блин, это что получается? Вот первая развилка, если ты пойдешь сюда, потом еще развилка, еще. Если все это пути, о, как много. Ну, хотя тут уровни такие, мне кажется, мелкие, и все это быстро делается. Сейчас попробуем.
The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. This chest smelled kind of funky. He hoped he didn't get it in his clothes. hero wall, hero sword, ice wall, ice.
Не тот меч.
Hey, why don't you guys fight in groups? Oh, I know. Because there's no I in team. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato.
Так, надо выбрать. Осуществить план Люпина с гусями, сетью, огнем, жабой, арбузом. Сейчас не время для безрассудных планов.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan. If I craft a sword now, it's gonna be really short.
Еще 6.
He wasn't that good. Yet. Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Lupino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat. Renato, she said, are those new scars? They look good on you. You never return my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Oh, what does an imperial princess know about style? Oh, get a room, you two, said Latino. But the fleet was coming on fast, so they put Zenobia on the Farfarer and took her east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye, without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter. Ah, Lapina was right, Renato thought reluctantly. She knows things. She recognized his look. You're taking me to the interrogators, aren't you? She said, wide-eyed. And then she jumped, with horror. Renato saw Zenobia plummeting. Then he saw the Nexus below them. Cats always land on their feet. Ah, she'll head for the Imperial outpost, yelled Apino. You have to catch her.
Блин, прикольная игрушка. Так, теперь надо поймать Зенобию эту, да?
Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. If he ran, he could head her off before she reached her minions at the outpost. Well, I did love a good chase. There was a sign. Take the goat across first.
Блин, это про коза, волка и капусту, блин. Блин, круто.
If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger. Who needed bridges anyway?
Блин, я туда не попал. Блин, прошляпил. Блин, а как обратно-то? Ой, блин, тут реально.
He was closing on her. He could smell her fear. He tried not to think about the interrogators at the secret base. What did they do to her? Maybe it didn't have to end that way. Maybe he could talk to her. But, after all, there were worse things the Imperials had done to friends of his. It did not matter how outnumbered the rebellion was. The secret Zenobia held could level the playing field. Codes, passwords. She could wreak havoc with just a few whispers to a far speaker. A crafting bench. Renato wondered what he could make with it.
Так. Мне тут субстанции не хватает. Для активации магических мечей зажать РТ. Мечи при активации расходуют энергию, чтобы сменить мечи. Меч на максимальном уровне. Опа! Всего в 2 уровня? Мне кажется, быстро играл. Блин, во я дурачок. Так, ладно. Так, достижение подойди-ка. Угу.
Bernardo reached the outpost. The Imperials there were no match for him. Soon after, Zenobia limped up the path. When she realized he was already in front of her, she didn't even try to run. Oh, you left without saying goodbye. Again, he said, please. I'm enjoying this a little too much. She said, shaken. Oh, spare us the chit-chat, would you? Said Lapino as he shackled her hands so she couldn't throw spells. She knows all his plans. All the way back to the Farfarer, Lapino nagged Renato about how the interrogators would pry all the intel out of Zenobia. That would turn the tides in the imminent battle. All they had to do was take her to the rebels' secret base. Renato didn't like to think about what the interrogators would do to her. Couldn't he just talk to her?
Итак, это слишком жестко. Пропустим базу повстанцев. Снова Зеноби была пленницей Нард. Перестановка базы повстанцев. Но есть вещь, которую дознаватель с ней сделать надо, может не останавливаться на базе. Здесь подвести Зеноби самостоятельно. А можно доставить ее на базу повстанцев и выиграть войну. Снова Зеноби была пленницей Нард. Следующая установка базы повстанцев, которую дознаватель с ней сделал. Тут мы содрогнулся. Он был необходим видеть выполнение. Там он возьмет Зеноби с собой на секретную базу повстанцев. Давайте сами поговорим.
As they pulled away from the Nexus, Renato could see the fear in Zenobia's eyes. I can't take it to those creatures at the base. He whispered to Lupino. Ah, you've gone soft. Soft in the head. We captured her for what she knows. I'll take her to the mountains. Tell all the horrible things the Emperor's done. Yeah, believe me. She'll turn. And he turned the wheel. The hell you will! Shouted Lupino, and he grabbed the wheel back from him. The two of them wrestled for control of the ship. It shot off like a mad sparrow. Suddenly, Renato was falling.
Так, Рейнардо упал.
When he came to, Zenobia was standing over him. Why didn't you take me to the base to be interrogated? She demanded. Do you know what's left of people they interrogate? This is some trick, isn't it? To make me fall for you again. Well, I won't. Oh, go on then. Scurry back to your ravens. I can't stop you. But strangely, she didn't. As Renato set off to find the Farfarer, she followed him, keeping just out of sight of the ravens.
Я так. Поджечь противника. Заморозить противника. Увеличить скорость движения. Так. He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again? Походу можно потом заново проходить, и уже ты останешься с текущим мечом и со всеми шмотками, да.
Renato felt ready to become faster, stronger, bolder. If only he could figure out which.
Так.
He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak. This was definitely better than pulling yourself up in a bucket. As Renato stopped to sniff the wind, Zenobia came up, still mad. Did you really think you'd just talk me into betraying my father? Oh yeah, sure, that was exactly my plan. Then why aren't you even talking to me? Because I've never talked you into anything in my life. They're gonna court-martial you for letting me go. He caught a whiff of the Farfarer. Wet rope, tar, and a cask of Scobel ale he'd spilt last year. It was that way.
Блин, надо было... Это странно, можно было туда пойти, можно... Блин, я что-то не пойму.
Bernardo's paws were getting numb. Calaveras really didn't want company, did he? Bernardo wondered if he should have taken Zenobia to the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he was regretting his suspicions. He was practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things.
Так,
Sure
нашли-ка.
enough, the Farfarer had crashed in some rocks. There was no sign of Lupino. Zenobia caught up. All that kid stuff in Swordfu School. Look, that's the past. We're adults now. We have duties to other people. We have destinies. What are you talking about? And you are the most arrogant, slow-witted, light-fingered, mercenary, immoral, reckless, Run away with me, said Renato, and he realized he meant it. Oh, just like that? She demanded. I will, if you will. So she kissed him. And it was the best kiss he'd ever had. They held hands as they boarded the Farfarer. Renato felt light-hearted, like the winds that were playing the rigging like a balalaika. But Lapino, I need to get back to Lapino, he said, suddenly realizing he could have been captured. A prisoner. He's not. How'd you know? He saw something in her eyes he didn't understand. He fell, didn't he? Into the abyss.
Где же кролик Лапино?
Looked away. Wouldn't answer. But then a bolt smashed through the Farfarer's keel. The broken ship plummeted out of the clouds.
Так.
Renato picked himself off the deck. They were alive. We have to get to my private ship, she said. Do you trust me? I guess I must, he said. You go on ahead. Clear the path, she said. I can't kill my own soldiers. He wanted to say that he didn't trust her, that he had no idea what he was getting into. But he had no choice, did he? He was following his heart. That's what it means to be a hero. You had to follow your heart. Shouldn't get impatient. He needed to take the time to figure out what all his experience had brought him.
Откроется уровень умений. Истина, истина, истина. Угу. У меня еще очко есть.
That come in handy in a pinch. Where did that go to? Renato wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles. It wasn't his fault. They looked so breakable. Yeah! There was an inscription on the platform. Balaleka lessons, with an address. It was good to practice your moves, thought Renato. Keeps you limber. Don't be shy. Don't go away.
Блин, тут что-то вообще непонятно. Столько этих.
to catch their breath. It was strange to be so close to her. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm trying very hard not to think. Me too, he said. Up ahead, he could see the thin silver of Zenobia's personal ship. It looked fast. They would leave all this behind. In a swirl of newly remembered knowledge. He needed to focus.
Просто тут ничего не понятно вообще.
Should go, he thought.
Блин, путаю все.
This would be the perfect place for a tic-tac-toe board.
Блин. А бой-то не такой и уже легкий.
As they reached her ship, Renato suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach. He was surprised to see a crossbow bolt sticking out of it.
I was going to lead the Empire to a secret base, said Lapino. But no, you had to screw up my plan because you've still got a thing for her.
Renato stared at Zenobia. The kiss. Was it real? She said, with a look of indescribable sorrow. She gestured and said an arcane word, and Lapino went flying into the abyss, screaming, "I'm telling your father!" Then she knelt down to cradle his head, and her paws felt very soft and warm. Okay, that was weird. He could have sworn he'd just died. Instead, he was on the Farfarer, sailing away from Ubar. And it was still burning. He'd fled burning Ubar years ago, hadn't he? And now he was back there. Had all those years fighting the Empire been nothing but a vision into the future? A useful vision if it was true? He'd learned something. Lapino was a traitor. Renato had suspected there was something wrong with the Mad Rabbit. But now he knew there was malice behind his goofiness.
Новая история завершена. История номер 5. Сомнения прочь. Что ты за герой? Герой, который всегда следует зову сердца. Награда. Ну, истинно раскрыт Лапин и предатель. Награда. Умение второго уровня открыты. Пустынный храм. История. Посмотреть историю. Угу.
He'd made bad choices. But now, when the real battle came, he wouldn't make those choices. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The book's pages began to flip backwards, towards the beginning. And he realized that his adventure was just beginning. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis Stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Ну, короче, можно так, можно так. Ну ладно, давай тогда найти храм. У восстания не было больше времени, Нард нуждался в ком-то, кто все изменит.
The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Reynardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Reynardo. This burning sword from the south was terrific for barbecuing sausages and ravens.
В атаке поджечь противника стоит энергии.
This is why heroes are called dashing, Reynardo thought. See?
Так.
Get it? The air here tasted bitter. The steps were too tall for a person. The entire place felt restless. Like it had been vexed to nightmare under the dust. waiting for its hour to come around at last. Whoa, personal space. The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Nice. That could be useful. So much about... Ooh, what was it again?
Так, нужно вот эту фигню изучить.
There had to be something useful in these things, didn't there? He was sort of yanking his own chain, wasn't he? Hey, I'm a firefox, thought Renato.
Так, исследователь. Вы нашли самоцвет, энергия за убийство. Он возвращается 3 энергии меча.
Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention.
А, это если бы я бы другой меч бы взял.
Can I borrow that? Sharp? Check. Pointy? Check. Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword? The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Так. Угу.
It was a bit windy up here. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone. Eager, thirsty, seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they
А,
were
вот,
close
можно
ones,
так
and
пойти.
Renato wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "It's the core," said the stone anxiously.
Так, это истории кролика. Да, это этого. Камень у нас вот, истина.
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a
Выберем
soldier?
камень.
He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one, that she was the Emperor's daughter. No, kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late. The Transcendent Emperor had made the Sky Ripper out of the eye of a god. And he'd used it to defeat the gods. But how had he defeated the first god? The one with the eye?
Шесть, шесть. Мне кажется, мы сможем уже создать.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. There were a lot of shiny, smooth, curved with leather, buckles, and kind of smelled. You know what? Never mind. Yes, there was also ore and other useful stuff. Let's focus on that, shall we? Calaveras had once explained to Renato how portals work, but no matter how hard he tried to understand, the words just flew out of his brain. The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. "The core will kill you." "Are you afraid of it?" "No, don't be ridiculous," it chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if so much as carry it, and if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. Don't get ahead of yourself, lad. Was that your shield? As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. "No! It's too much power! We'll rip a hole in space and time!" He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out. When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out. And, "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Так, спросить совета не вредно. Совет всегда можно проигнорировать. Тюрьма заставила Каннибалса молчать, использовали на Борьеза. Сила, которую нам дало, была всецело. Было бы разумно понять, что он сделал. Ученые в Нексусе знали бы ответ. Перенесем войну на территорию врага. Расцел камень, замолчать, использованный борец, пока сила, которую оно дало, была всецело. Это как не смотреть даренному коню в зубы. Может, настало время использовать ее силы в корне изменить ход войны? Сражение вражеского ампостнекса было бы отличным первым шагом. Сначала спросим.
As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Renato could see tiny sparks in the blackness that was the Iblis Stone, as if somewhere within it, the core was still spitting out energy, which the Iblis Stone sucked in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all. See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the oddmakers, and do what you knew was right, and have it turn out to be the right thing. Well, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he? Hoped his hook didn't break.
Так, тут что у нас? Нацельте на противника рог и пройдите сквозь него на себя урон. Не работает с противником вооружен щитом. Угу. Тут что? От истинный меч фу, такой угас любого расстояния автоматически определенного порога комбо.
Interrupted story time. Caught the lead raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended. Renato felt new powers ready to blossom within him, or something.
Так, пожалуй, надо вот это вот. Атакуйте врага своего состояния. Порог комбо 30. Так, понятно.
Bernardo had never felt better in his life. Normally, a battle would wear him down and he would need a night's sleep. Now he felt like he could go all night and all day. He felt like people were cheering him on, and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another. Bernardo had a lot of crafting materials. Now all he needed was a crafting bench. The Imperial fleet was closing in on the rebels, forcing them to come out and fight. Bernardo was itching to bring the fight to the enemy. He had to remind himself not to be too reckless.
Так.
This sword from the frigid north was really useful for making popsicles and birdsicles. Boy, some people were just liable to explode if you upset them. Oops. Thought Bernardo. A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
Hmm?
toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Sky Ripper, explained Renato. No more feed me blood and souls. But the core is not an unlimited energy source, said one toad. Another said,
There's a feedback loop, you see, which could overload the stone. The stone doesn't actually feed on souls,
claimed a third.
but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload.
This was all very confusing. At peace? Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle. Renato couldn't make sense of anything the toads said, and listening to them argue made him restless. The Iblis Stone had made him a power in his own right. The core had kicked the Iblis Stone out of his head by filling it with more power than it could eat. It was time to meet the leadership of the rebellion. It was time to go to the ruins where they had hidden their secret base. He was ready for anything the ravens could throw at him. His sword felt ready too. It seemed to know what he wanted most. Renato hoped his mother wasn't watching. Imagine if you built a house on one of these things. Oh, that would be amazing. It would be like having a boat. Beat Renato at hot potato. What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? This was almost fun. Pain of killing another sentient being? What was that toad talking about anyway? He felt no pain, only pleasure as each filthy raven fell by his sword and the stone glowed brighter and brighter. And all the while, those voices were cheering him on, like he was in the arena, winning bout after bout. You blinked. That was new. Most people still use doorknobs. Na. Hey. Goodbye. Renato remembered when he'd first stolen one of these. Good times. He slew and slew across the ruins and into the labyrinth that hid the secret rebel base. He was surprised not to see any defenders or even any of the council toads. When he reached the council chambers, there were still no toads, only filthy ravens. Stop him! He's gone mad! One raven shouted until he had hacked them all down. There was not a single toad anywhere. No doubt they'd all been taken prisoner, so it was up to him to take revenge upon the Imperial fleet. But where had they taken the council? It couldn't be good that the Empire had not only found the secret rebel base, but killed or captured everyone there, no matter. He was on a roll. He headed full speed towards the Imperial fleet. He would be the fox who took down 100 warships. He charged. The Imperial fleet was huge and deadly, but he was deadlier. The crowd was cheering him on. He could practically hear it. Reynardo, the hero of the rebellion. Fire? Yes, please. This chest contained a Vorpal sword. I'm just kidding. Vorpal swords don't exist. Burnt fur. His. Stay away from the other guy's sword, you know? Renato had been the terror of the sandcastles when he was 2. He wished there were more pylons he could use the hook on. They really needed to construct additional pylons. I think this is yours, said Renato, but he couldn't hear his enemy's answer. As he slew his way across the fleet, Renato thought he could hear a small voice whispering in his ear. "Look at your gauntlet, you idiot," it said. "Oh, for heaven's sake," he thought. "Can't I be alone in my own head? Look at the stone." "I'm busy," he told the voice. "Talk later." "Then it will be too late," cried the voice. "Don't be so bloody thick. Piss off," he told the voice and kept up his slaying. Good thing Renato didn't have vertigo. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? There was the Emperor. Renato cut down his elite guard. The exalted Toad cowered fearfully. He had sought to evade death and only made death come to him faster. Renato savored the moment. And then, too quick, it was over. He stood over the dead Emperor.
Death to tyranny! He shouted. Go, House, go!
Zenobia stepped out of the shadows. You have to stop, she said. You've killed everyone. Our ravens, your rebels. You murdered the whole rebel council.
What? Oh, the Ravens killed the council. You big idiot. They don't even know what the secret base is. Shouted Lapino, who was with her for some reason.
Look at the stone, said Zenobia. It was black as night. Blacker.
But I fed it the core, said Renato. It was glowing. Well, who needs the core? He said, and he attacked.
Zenobia conjured her best, and Lapino hopped around like a mad rabbit, but he killed them both easily.
I am unstoppable, he orated at the blood-soaked walls. I alone shall be emperor.
The tiny voice inside him screamed,
That doesn't even sound like you big fanny. The stone has stolen your mind.
but he ignored it. Who listens to voices in their heads anyway? Madmen, that's who. Renato stared at the book. He was still alive. Again. And still only flying away from burning Ubar. Had he lived that adventure? Or only dreamt it? Had he really died? It felt so real, not like a dream at all. And he'd lost again. Oh, he hated that. But he had made different choices. And he'd lost in a different way. It was the book, wasn't it? Oracles showed you your destiny. But this was showing him different ways he could die miserably. Thanks a bunch, book, he thought. But these were destinies that he did not have to fulfill. But he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it. But that meant there must be a destiny where he survived and won, right? Otherwise, what was the point? And with that, the book's pages fluttered back once more to the beginning and... The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Посмотрим. И были вообще...
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the lost gods. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Renardo could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it. As he set foot on the island, Renardo couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renardo felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renardo never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?